Okay, so we are open up to the next clean page in our math notebooks. Today's header is 8.7 multiply mixed numbers. So we've been multiplying fractions. We've gotten into the hang of multiplying the two numerators together and then the two denominators together and then seeing if we can simplify our answer when we multiply fractions. Well, now we're going to learn how to multiply mixed numbers. And I have two ways of doing it. So we're going to take notes on both ways, and then you're going to decide which way works best for you. Give me a thumbs up when you have the title and today's date at the top. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome job. Awesome. Awesome. So, the example question we're using is 1.5 times 2 2/3. So you don't need to worry about these orange arrows yet. You'll see where they're going. Just write example and then in parentheses 2 ways, 1.5 times 2 2/3. And then give me a thumbs up when you have that written down. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay. So, our first example, the first way is partial product. So go ahead and label this way. Don't worry about what's on the right here. I'll show you that in just a moment. So our first way is called the partial products method. Now, we've heard the term partial products before, haven't we, 5th grade? So we are using, oh, you'll see. So partial products. No, not yet. Not until you see what we're doing with it. So with this way, let me see if I have the steps written down. Not yet. With this way, what we would do is we split apart our mixed numbers to where it's a whole number and a fraction, and then another whole number and a fraction. So what we do is this. So I would like you to go ahead and get this written down. So this is the one way you can multiply mixed numbers. You form a box and you split apart both of your mixed numbers. So with this box, you split it into fourths, and above the top left, you put the whole number in the first fraction. The top right, you put the fraction in your mixed number. And then the right top, I guess you could say, or along the right here, you would put the whole number of your second mixed number, and then below that, you would put the fraction of your second mixed number. And what you do, 5th grade, actually, give me a thumbs up when you have this all set up, and then I'll show you how this works, just to make sure there aren't any questions. Give me a thumbs up when you have it all set up. Awesome. Some of you are going to really like this way. Some of you are really going to like the second way. So that's why I like to teach it both. So, do we all have it set up? I'm taking it as a yes. Okay, so when we have it all set up, then, what we do is, so here, this box, you can see how it coincides with the 1 and the 2, right? So we multiply those two together. 1 times 2 equals 2. And I circle the answer. That way I don't accidentally pick another number in this box. 2 is the answer to that problem. Then, when I come over to this box, which two numbers am I multiplying? 1/2 times 2, or 2 times 1/2. Exactly. When I multiply those together, I get 2 over 2, which is the same as the whole number 1. So I'm going to actually turn it into a 1 and circle it. Oh, this got started somehow. I'm going to close out of that. All right, let's keep going. What I would like you to do, solve the problems in the bottom 2 boxes, then give me a thumbs up when you've solved all 4 of the boxes. Okay, voices up, voices up. Pick a darker color for these. So thumbs up when you've solved the problems in all 4 boxes. Awesome. I'll go ahead and start solving them too. I see a few people finishing up. All right. So I went ahead and solved my boxes. And I know it's a little hard to see up on the smartboard, so I'm going to tell you what I got. So the first one I showed you. The second one we did together. We got 1. The bottom left, I took 1 times 2/3, and that just stays 2/3, so I circled it. And then over here, I took 1/2 times 2/3, and that got me 2/6. Well, 2/6, I can divide both by 2, so that got me 1/3. It's a little hard to see, but that is 1/3. So I got 2, 1, 2/3, and 1/3. Give me a thumbs up if you got the same fractions as me. Awesome. Now, let's say you forgot to simplify the fraction in this bottom right box. That's okay. When you get your final answer, then you will have the option to simplify at the very end. So then you might be thinking, okay, well, Miss E, we got all these numbers. Now what do we do with them? Yes, we're going to combine them. And it's important that you're circling the answer in each so you know which numbers you're combining, because if you didn't circle them, you could accidentally grab the wrong number. So then we're going to come over and we're going to take all 4 of these and we are adding them together. So go ahead and write out our addition problem. Now, I already have the answer here, and I'm going to show you how I got it, okay? So we take I like to add the two whole numbers together and then the 2 fractions together and then combine them. So 2 plus 1 plus 2/3 plus 2/6. So technically what I could do, 5th grade, I can put parentheses around so that it shows which 2 I'm combining before I combine everything together. So this shows, okay, I'm going to add up the 2 whole numbers first, get that answer. Then I'm going to add up the 2 fractions, get that answer, and then I'm going to add those 2 things together. So when I do that, what's 2 plus 1, 5th grade? 3. So we already know that when we add up 2 and 1, we get 3. And then what I want you to do is down below, the 2/3 and the 2/6, I want you to add them together and write that fraction there, where I'm covering with my finger right now. Yes, Layla. Yes, since we are adding, you need to find that LCD. So we have a 3 and a 6.
You already did it. If you converted the 2/6 into 1/3,
yep, you're right. So sometimes you can do that. Otherwise, no, it's okay. It's okay. What's nice with this one is that no matter what denominator you get, you're going to get the same answer. Yeah. Yep. So give me a thumbs up when you've added 2/3 and 2/6. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so one way you could have done this is what Richie was talking about. Richie recognized that 2/6 can actually be simplified to 1/3. So then you would have 2/3 plus 1/3, which would get you 3/3. Now, what is 3/3 the same as? 3/3 is the same as 1. You also could have thought, okay, 3 and 6, 6 is the common denominator. So you could transform 2/3 into 4/6 and have 4/6 plus 2/6, which gets you 6/6, which is the same as what? 6/6 is the same as 1. They're both the same as 1, no matter which way you did it. So I chose the 6/6, so that gets us 3 and 6/6, which is the same as 4. All right, how many of you kind of like this method of breaking it apart, then bringing it all together to add at the end? How many of you are liking this? Okay, it takes a little bit, but once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty fast, I will say that. Okay, this is our first way of multiplying mixed numbers. Our second way is improper fractions. This is our second way. Maybe. Like I said, some of you are really going to like partial products. Some of you are really going to like improper fractions. Now, just to point out, while you guys are getting improper fractions written down, we call the first method partial products because when we break it apart and multiply it that way, these 4 numbers we get, remember how partial products, it's part of the overall product or the overall answer? These 4 numbers are part of our overall answer. We just need to combine the parts to find the whole. Okay, so that's why it's called partial products. Then we have our improper fractions. Now, with our improper fractions, let's see, how do I want you to write this down? Okay, what you're going to do, you can write it down and write down the steps off to the right. I'm gonna scoot this up so you can see it a little better. So, ignore the 2 slashes I put through it right now. Just rewrite the problem, and then off to the right, write our 3 steps. So 1.5 times 2 2/3 equals, and we're going to leave that blank because that's where the answer will go. So our first step is we need to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Then our second step is we solve. So once we change them into improper fractions, then we multiply them just like we do with fractions, because when we turn them into improper fractions, they don't have a whole number anymore. So it's just like multiplying fractions. Then once you multiply and you get that answer, then you simplify if you're able to. As always, there will be times when you don't have to simplify, but sometimes you can. Yes, Will. This? Oh, down here? No, don't. Sorry, I was getting creative with my notes. So, yeah, I'm going to just put that there for now. We'll get to it, don't you worry. There. Give me a thumbs up when you have the problem and our steps written down. Awesome. Awesome. You guys are doing great today. Thank you so much. Michael, do you have a question?
Yes.
What is your question?
So, will you have practice in it, or is this a practice?
We will have some practice at the bottom, but you can always go onto the back of your page for that if you need more room. Okay. Will, do you have a question?
Yeah.
What's up?
Practice, will we have, like, certain types of, like, the way that we have to do it?
No, you get to choose which way you want to do it. Yep, so this is all about me introducing 2 ways to you, and then you choose what works best for you. Okay, so if we follow, we're going to go through and we're going to follow each step. We wrote our problem at the top, 1.5 times 2 2/3. Our first step is to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now, as a refresher, when we do that, we need to add a symbol, a math symbol here and a math symbol here. Who remembers what those 2 math symbols are? Drew.
Add and subtract.
Not add and subtract. Add is one of them. What's the other symbol? Michael? Multiply. So where do we put the multiplication symbol? Top or bottom? Bottom. So let's go ahead and put a multiplication symbol. Then our addition symbol goes on the top. Now you want to make sure you're not writing these too fast, because if you tilt your addition symbol, it looks like multiplying. And then we're going to do the same thing to 2 2/3. We're going to put our multiplication symbol and then our addition symbol. And now when we do this, do we start from the top and curve to the bottom, or start at the bottom and curve to the top? We start at the bottom and curve to the top. It's the opposite of what you probably want to do. So what's 2 times 1? 1 plus 1 is 2. So 1 1/2 would turn into, wait, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Yep, that would turn into 3/2. Then for 2 2/3, 3, so 3 times 2 is what? 6, plus 2 is 8, so that would turn into 8/3. So now we have 3/2 times 8/2, and we know how to multiply fractions already, right?
Yep.
Go ahead and multiply those two together. See what you get. And don't forget, once we solve, our third step is always to simplify. So if you're able to simplify, you need to simplify. Yeah. Yep, sounds good. Yep, so as a reminder, when we multiply two fractions, we just go ahead, we multiply the numerators, and then we multiply the denominators. Are you ready for me to reveal the answer? All right, our answer is 24/6, right? Because 3 times 8 is 24, 2 times 3 is 6. However, this is an improper fraction, right? So when we ask, how many times does 6 go into 24? Show me in your hand. How many times does 6 go into 24? 4 times. Is there anything left over? Nope. So we get 4. Yep, there's 0 zeros left over. So, I want you, ready to rock? Think about both of these methods. Think about which one works best for you. And when I say go, you are going to put a 1 on your hand if you like the partial products method better. You're going to put a 2 on your hand if you like the improper fractions better. In 5th grade, once you get the hang of number 1, it goes just as fast as number 2. So this isn't about what are your friends doing. This is about what works best for you. So go ahead, show me on your finger which method works best for you. All right, I see some 2s. Sometimes I have a good mix. Sometimes I have more 1s. Sometimes I have more 2s. Okay, awesome. Hands down. Okay, we are going to have a practice section. So go ahead and label your practice section. You might need to go onto the back of your page.
How many questions are there?
Let me look. There are 4 questions. Yes, Mackenzie.
As soon as you showed the fraction, I immediately knew what I was going to do.
Oh, interesting.
The second one, the answer is 4. You have to do 4 multiplication. We can take the first one and we have 4 practice problems.
Interesting. All right, are you ready for your practice problems? All right, voices off. As soon as you get them all written down, you can start solving them. I will say the 4th one looks hard, but follow the steps and you're going to be just fine. Follow what you know and you'll do just fine. Okay, so these are your problems. Think about it. In parentheses, you're adding and subtracting, which we already know how to do. You get those answers and you multiply them. So number 1 is 2 1/6 times 4 1/2. Number 2 is 3/4 times 8 1/2. Number 3 is 4 1/8 times 5 1/2. And number 4 in the first set of parentheses, we have 1/6 plus 2 2/3 times, and in the second set of parentheses, we have 1 1/4 minus 1/2. So I will also say with number 2, notice you only have one partial product, or one, mixed number. So think about which method you want to use to solve number 2. It would work either way. You would just have, I will say for number 2, if you're doing the partial products, instead of having a 2 by 2, you would just have a 2 by 1, because you would have the 8 1/2 here, and then you would just have the 3/4 here. You wouldn't even have that second row. So if you're doing the partial products method for number 2, that's what you would do. Okay. Sure enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's, well, okay, that doesn't always work. Because when we transform them into improper fractions, sometimes it's a little different, and so you won't always get the same answer. Okay, so that's why it's important to either put it in the box and do it that way, or you transform it into the improper fraction.
In 5th grade, I'm going to start solving them as well, so you can check your answers as you go, especially since we'll be heading up to math in a little bit. I'm going to use the improper fractions method, number 2, just because that's what works best for me.
2 times 1 plus 1.
Ready to rock. We are going to pause. We're going to come back and discuss our answers after maths. So what I would like you to do, quietly line up in order at the door.